go back. Uh-oh. Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanda Vallabha Girivardhan Hari Vichana Vallabha Girivardhan Hari Gopi Chanda Vallabha Girivardhan Hari Chanda Vallabha Girivardhan Hari Yasodanandana Prashajanaranja Yasodanandana Prashajanaranja Yamuna Tira Manachari Yamuna Tira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanda Vallabha Girivardhan Hari Yasodanandana Prashajanaranja Yasodanandana Prashajanaranja Yamuna Tira Manachari Yamuna Tira Manachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura, Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura, Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa. Papakacharyos Stotara Satoshi Shrimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa. Papakacharyos Stotara Satoshi Shrimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacho Shudas Thakur ki jai. Brahma Seko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Vrindavana Dham ki jai. Shri Mathura Dham ki jai. Shri Mayapur Dham ki jai. Shri Navadvip Dham ki jai. Shri Yamuna Mai ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Shri Mati Tulasi Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Shri Shri Guru Angaranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we are going to be continuing. Oh, a jasmine garland. Almost jasmine. Looked like it, yeah. Today we're going to be continuing with our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on a very important chapter. It's Canto 10, chapter 47, and we're going to do verse 17. This is the beautiful pastime of the bee. Radharani is very upset that Krishna has left, and in her madness, Uddhava sees that she is speaking to this bee, seeing the bee as being a messenger from Krishna. And within these verses, there were 10 verses, it's showing the different types of this prajalpa, it's called, and the different variations it takes. So on Tuesday, Srila Gurudev, His Holiness Bear Krishnadas Goswami, he had read verse number 18, but we're actually going back to 17 because last Friday I did 16, and Marj was away, and then on Sunday and Monday, instead of doing the verses of the Bhagavatam, we were giving preparation class on Krishna, the appearance of Krishna. Then Srila Gurudev came back, and he gave on 19. So somehow or other, I am destined to continue with Radharani chastising the bees. So we're going back to this verse. This is a spontaneous class. I just offered to cover it at the last minute. So we will see what Srila Prabhupada inspires me to share with all of you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mirgayor Eva Kapindram Vijade Lubda Dharma Migayori Baki Pitram Vijade Lubda Dharma. Striyam Akrita Varupam Stri Titaha Kamaranam Striyam Krita Virupam Sti Jitaha Kamayanam Balim Api Balim Atva Veshtayayad Dwanksha Vad Yas Balim Api Balim Atva Veshtayad Dwankasha Vad Yas Tad Alam Asista Sakya Dustajas Tat Katartaha Taralamashita Sakir Dustajas Tat Katartaya Mikayari Vakapitam Vijay Luda Dharma Sriyama Krita Virupam Stritita Kamayanam Balim Api Balim Ataveshtayat Twanksha Vajas Taralama Sita Sakya Dusta Jastat Kartaryaha Devotees. Mikayari Vakapitam Vidaye Lubda Dharma Striyama Krita Virupam Strijita Kamayanam Balim Apti Balim Ataveshtayad Dwankashvadyas Taralamasita Sakya Dustayajas Tad Kartaha. Anyone else? Mirgayu, a hunter. Eva, like. Kapi, of the monkeys. Idram, the king. Vijade, shot. Lubadharma, behaving like a cruel hunter. Striyam, a woman, namely Supernaka. Akrita, maid. Verupam, disfigured. Stri, by a woman. Sita Devi. Jitaha, conquered. Kamayam, who was impelled by lusty desire. Balim, King Bali. Api, also. Balim, his tribute. Atva, consuming. Aveshtayad, bound up. Dwankashavad, like a crow. Yaha, who. Tat, therefore. Alam, enough. Ashtita, with black Krishna. Sakahi, of all kinds of friendship. Dushyaha, impossible to give up. Tat, about him. Kataha, of the topics. Aritaha, the elaboration. Translation. Like a hunter, he cruelly shot the king of the monkeys with arrows because he was conquered by a woman. He disfigured another woman who came to him with lusty desires. And even after consuming the gifts of Bali Maharaj, he bound him up with ropes as if he were a crow. So let us give up all friendship with this dark-complexioned boy, even if we can't give up talking about him. Excuse me. So you can repeat. Like a hunter, he cruelly shot the king of the monkeys with arrows because he was conquered by a woman. He disfigured another woman who came to him with lusty desires. And even after consuming the gifts of Bali Maharaj, he bound him up with ropes as if he were a crow. So let us give up all friendship with this dark-complexioned boy, even if we can't give up talking about him. So we'll read the purport by the faithful disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And as I said before, this is Srimati Radharani herself speaking to the bee about Lord Krishna. Purport. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada explains the meaning of this verse as follows. Quote, Srimati Radharani said to the bee, you poor messenger, you are only a less intelligent servant. You do not know much about Krishna. How ungrateful and hard-hearted he has been, not only in this life, but in his previous lives also. We have heard this from our grandmother, Purnamasi. She has informed us that Krishna was born in a Kshatriya family previous to this birth and was known as Ramachandra. And that birth, instead of killing Vali, an enemy of his friend, in the manner of a Kshatriya, he killed him just like a hunter. A hunter takes a secure hiding place and then kills an animal without facing it. So Lord Ramachandra, as a Kshatriya, should have fought with Vali face to face. But instigated by his friend, he killed him from behind a tree. Thus he deviated from the religious principles of a Kshatriya. Also, he was so attracted by the beauty of Sita that he converted Surpanaka, the sister of Ravana, into an ugly woman by cutting off her nose and ears. Surpanaka proposed an intimate relationship with him, and as a Kshatriya, he should have satisfied her. But he was so henpecked that he could not forget Sita Devi and converted Surpanaka into an ugly woman. Before that birth as a Kshatriya, he took birth as a Brahmana boy known as Vamadev and asked charity from Bali Maharaj. Bali was so magnanimous that he gave him whatever he had. Yet Krishna's Vamadev ungratefully arrested him just like a crow and pushed him down to Patala kingdom. We know all about Krishna and how ungrateful he is, but here is a difficulty. In spite of his being so cruel and hard-hearted, it is very difficult for us to give up talking about him. That's the end of Prabhupada's quote from Krishna book. And before I read the rest of the commentary, I was just reflecting on, that was one of my points yesterday when I was meditating on Srila Prabhupada and his Vyasa Puja, how he so expertly is able to take the different commentaries of previous acharyas and present them in such a very understandable way. And in Krishna book, he makes a summary into such a wonderful story form for us to read and to absorb. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that this speech of Radharani's is called Avajalpa. So it's another kind of the jalpas. This is Avajalpa, as described by Rupa Goswami in the following verse from Ujjala Nilamani. Haro kapitan kamitva dorayad ashaktya ayogata yacha shesa vyobhagda so vijalpa satam mataha. Saintly persons have concluded that when a lover, impelled by jealousy and fear, declares that Lord Krishna is unworthy of her attachment because of his harshness, lustiness, and dishonesty, such speech is called avajalpa. So previously we had Radharani criticizing Krishna, and now we have it going into another level where she is just seeing him as being very harsh and lusty and dishonest. Om Gena Timrandasya Gena Gena Shlakaya Chaksumilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistai Bhutale Shimati Ridananda Goswami Iti Namane. Namaste Guru Hansaya Paramananda Medase Prabhupada Paramadaidu Sadantanasane. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistai Bhutale Shimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashatashatadine. So we're going to comment some before we read the rest of the acharyas. So we know in the same way that we're not supposed to imitate the conjugal loving affairs of Radha and Krishna, but we're meant to hear about them and become purified. So in the same way, we're not meant to chastise Krishna. Oh, Krishna. Like sometimes a devotee might feel upset that things are not going their way and they want to blame Krishna. But that's not the mood of a Vaishnava. The mood of a Vaishnava is that I deserve so much more, but out of your causeless mercy, you're just giving me a token. And in that way, we can appreciate how there is so much spice in the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. And even in this mood of separation actually brings, when the meeting takes place, it makes it so much sweeter. Just like on Janmashtami, they were having the plays, and they were doing the box story where Krishna entered into the box that was supposed to be full of gifts from Mother Yasoda. And her own husband, Abhimanyu, carried the box on his head. And it was explained, Radharani's not really married. This is just there to add spice. Jatila is just there to add spice. And so in the same way, all these things that take place, it's to add more spice to the pastime. And so Radharani she's her finding fault in Krishna, her bringing up all these different incidents that took place in his previous incarnations, is actually adding more spice. And as we said in the beginning, when we first started reading this chapter, that Krishna was feeling so much separation from Radha, yet he was crying at night, calling out the name of the gopis. And then he sent Uddhava to console them. But not only did he send Uddhava to console them, but he sent Uddhava so Uddhava would see, what is this highest love like? Uddhava was thinking, I'm Krishna's best friend. I'm his advisor. I'm giving him advice. But then when Uddhava came to Vrindavan and he saw the separation of the residents of Vrindavan, how his heart was completely moved. He spoke with Mother Yasoda, who couldn't even speak. Nanda Baba had to speak. He saw the condition. Then he saw how the gopis had become thin and were just wandering here and there. And then he saw Shrimati Radharani in the corner. And then she began speaking to this bee, Lampada, cheater. So here, she's saying, you are hard-hearted in many different incarnations. So she brings out Ramachandra. She says, our grandmother, Purnamasi. So Purnamasi, she's actually the grandmother of Madhu Mangal, who's always a great juggler in Krishna's pastimes. So at the same time, she's the one that's arranging so many things that are taking place in Vrindavan. She's behind it all. So she's seen as their grandmother. So she tells them, oh, in previous Krishna did this, and previous Krishna did that. So then now they're like, oh, this Ramachandra. Because in the pastime of Lord Ram is taking the pastime of a human being. Obviously, he could know where Sita was. But Sita has been taken by Ravana. This is pastime. And then Ramachandra is looking everywhere. So finally he makes an alliance with the monkeys. And there was two brothers, Sugriva and Vali, and there was some misunderstanding that took place with them. And Vali had stolen the kingdom. So Ramachandra had beckoned to Sugriva to help him because the monkeys were needed in this task. As we'll see later, it was the monkeys that crossed to go to Lanka, to Ravana, and it was Hanuman. But so Sugriva was wanting to fight Vali. He needed help. So Ramachandra agreed to help Vali. So here, Radharani's complaining, you should have fought him face to face. You killed him in an unshatriya way. So there was different ways it was sneaky that it was done. But this is the Lord's transcendental pastimes. But Radharani is using it to fault him. You should have fought him nicely. You were just attached to your wife Sita. Of course, we know this isn't true. But this is adding spice to the madness. And so then he goes on to say, and what about Surpanaka? Of the duty of a kshatriya, one is to fight honestly, face to face. If a kshatriya has, other kshatriya is thrown off his chariot, a kshatriya should get down and fight. If a kshatriya is fighting with clubs, one should fight with clubs. If it's hands for hands, hands for hands. But you went behind the scene and you shot Vali. And then a kshatriya, if he's proposed to by woman, he should accept that woman as his wife. He should have a relationship with her. This is a duty of a kshatriya. But you disfigured Surpanaka because you were attached to Sita. So she's very angry and she's blaming. You were attached to Sita. Look at all the things that you did. You were henpecked. So we know that Ramachandra and Lakshman, they were roaming through the forest. And Ravana had a sister. Her name was Surpanaka. And she was, in this particular pastime, she was a Rakshasini. So then when she saw the beautiful form of Ram, she fell in love. Usually they want to eat human beings. They'll smell them. They want to eat them. But no, she saw the beautiful form of Ram, and she immediately was in love. She wanted to have a relationship with him. And Ramachandra was like, no, I've taken this vow, only one wife, Ekapatni. I've taken a vow of only one wife, so I cannot have a relationship with you. So she had changed her form, actually, because the Rakshasinis, they can change their form. So she looked like a very beautiful woman. So you can also see you can't go by on what you see with your eyes, because your material eyes can fool you. So this was like some mystic power. And so then Ram, he's joking with her, and he says, oh, no, I've taken a vow of Ekapatni, but here's my brother Lakshman. You can have a relationship with him, and he's very handsome. So she moves him over to Lakshman. And then Lakshman says, oh no, I'm just a servant of Ram. I'm just a servant of Ram, and I'm a servant of Sita. You don't want to be with me, because if you're with me, then you'll have to become the servant of Sita and Ram, and you don't want to become the servant of Sita and Ram. So back and forth, they start joking her. Well, hell knows no wrath like a scorned woman. So Surpanaka felt really like, look what's happened, they're making fun of me. And her heart was burning inside because she had this desire, this lusty desire in her heart to enjoy it, and she was being rejected. And Radharani's like, this is cruel. A kshatriya is meant to give shelter to any woman who approaches them, not to mistreat them in this way. So then what happened, she was so distraught and envious of Sita that she went to attack Sita. She went to attack the goddess of the universe, Sita. And then at that point, Ram cut her nose off. This was it. There was no joking, because she went to attack Sita. And we know this led to so much difficulty because Surpanaka actually, she didn't even get along with her brother Ravana. But after this happened, she decided to take revenge. So then she went back to Ravana. I've been disfigured by that Ram. I just went to him because he had a beautiful wife, and I wanted to bring that wife back to you. I was trying to bring Sita to you, and now look what's been done to me. And she was crying, and her nose was bleeding. So she was very political. She was extremely political. And, because at first Ravana is like, why are you coming crying to me? He was like doing his usual Ravana activities, intoxicated. But then he told her, oh, but there's this beautiful Sita. So she actually manipulated him into going to kidnap Sita. She knew how to play on his desire because her own desire wasn't fulfilled. So this is the reality of the story. But now, Radharani, in her upsetness with Krishna, knowing by the mercy of Purnamasi that Krishna was Ramachandra in a previous life, she is upset, and she's taking the side of Surpanaka. How can you do this to Surpanaka? How can you defile a woman like this? She was very, very upset with him. So she goes, so I know that you're a cheater, And the worst part is we can't give you up because we can't stop talking about you. We can't forget you, Krishna. So then the next point that was brought up is, we spoke about Ravana, we spoke about Surpanaka, we didn't speak yet about Vamanadev. So now we're going to speak. So as we know, Bali Maharaj actually becomes a great devotee of the Lord. And Prahlad himself is related with him. But in this particular pastime, we know that Bali Maharaj, that as we've heard previously, that because there was an offense committed to the spiritual master of the demigods, Srila Gurudev Krishna Goswami spoke about this the other day in relationship to Janmashtami, the preliminary leading up to the war. So as we know, there was this churning of the ocean, and there were different ingredients that came out, etc., etc. And then we know that Bali Maharaj, he ended up becoming, sitting on the throne of Indra. He became like the ruler of the heavenly planets because the demigods had committed an offense to their spiritual master. There was a garland that was given, and he was very nonchalant, Indra, and he just, put it on the head of a cow or a bull. I don't remember exactly. So because of that, they lost their power. So then, as was spoken about in class the other day, there's two wives of Kashyapa, Aditi and Diti, and one of them is the mother of the demons, the other of the demigods. So there was this sacrifice that was done to try to get the kingdom back. So then Lord Vishnu agrees to come, and he comes in the form of this beautiful, beautiful little Brahmin boy, Vamanadev. So just like at the temple, especially on Janmashtami, there'll be some little child dressed up, maybe looking like Krishna, looking so cute. Or just even like the other night, there was a play, and Abhimanyu, he was playing the part of Dhruva in the pole star. He was reciting his verses nicely. And it was like, oh, such a cute little Brahmin boy, I was thinking. So it was like that. They were thinking, oh, what a cute little Brahmin boy. But then we know that that cute little Brahmin boy actually goes ahead and cheats Bali, because Bali agrees to give him whatever he wants. He asks for 3 steps of land, but then he extends his body so big and his steps so big that there was nowhere to step, and just on his head, on the head of Bali. So then Bali was sent down. I mean, it's a whole other story. I don't have time to tell. But we know that it was a trick. And Bali's spiritual master, Sukacharya, was telling him, don't give him 3 steps of land. Because whatever you do, he's going to cheat you. He's Vishnu. Don't trust Vishnu. So his Guru Maharaj was like trying to preach to him, but he wanted to take shelter, No, I'm going to take shelter. So he gave everything. He surrendered completely to Vamanadev. But here we see that Radharani's like, and you cheated him. In the form of Vamanadev, you cheated Bali. She's turning the story around, being upset with Krishna. And actually these stories, the story of Brahmachandra and Bali Maharaj are all connected. Because in the story of Bali Maharaj, Bali's, it's either sister or like it's a close relative, saw Vamanadev and thought, oh my God, he's so adorable. I want to have him as my son. Like sometimes all the ladies are fighting, oh, let me hold your baby, he's so cute. So she wanted to have him as her son. And so, all right, you'll have him as your son. So what happens is then she becomes really upset at him then. She becomes super, super upset with him when he takes all the land. And at that point, she asks that that she will be his mother, but then she will also take his life. But what happens is she becomes Putana, the next woman to be killed by Krishna. And that way she begins to suck he begins to suck the milk, and then he ends up taking her life heirs. So in that pastime, he's killing Putana. So the goat, Radharani's remembering all this. You disfigured Surpanaka, and Surpanaka later actually gets to become Kubja in Krishna's pastimes because she wanted a loving affair with him. And so she becomes Kubja. And when Krishna comes to Mathura, she is the person who's making the ointments for Kamsa, and she gets to give Kamsa all of the wonderful ointments. And then what happens is, as we see with Kesam Bali Maharaj, that Putana is given the position in the next lifetime to become the milkmaid in the spiritual world. So we know whatever Krishna does is for the benefit of everyone. So how does this apply to us? It also applies to us that we need to mind our own business so we don't get our own nose cut off, so to speak. Because we don't know what's going on in someone's life. We don't know how Guru and Krishna are working with them. So sometimes there might be disagreements amongst Vaishnavas or misunderstandings. But we should always be very simple. Let me focus on chanting, doing my service, trying to understand the philosophy, and be very loving and compassionate to other devotees. Because we don't know who we're dealing with, what they're going through. And so we learn that. And when we hear all these different pastimes, these are meant to purify our heart, that we hear with oral reception how we can appreciate. And we actually develop love. Like I said, according to a different mood that we have, we might react differently. Like someone could hear this and they could think, how could Radharani be speaking like this? How could she say these things to Krishna? And someone else like myself will think, this is very good. Radharani's saying these things, Krishna needs to hear them, So this is also very, for me, this verse is very enlivening, and I found it kind of interesting how they came back to me. But I want to read the commentary. The bee seems to say, this Vishnu Thakur, and I love because he always does conversation. The bee seems to say, "Oh Radha, tender-hearted Krishna meditates on you in Mathura. I've seen it with my eyes. You are new to Mathura, so you do not know the truth. Not only in this life has he been cruel-hearted, but in previous lives also. I've heard this from Purnamasi. When he appeared as a Kshatriya in the form of Rama, he gave up Kshatriya Dharma, and like a hunter kills a deer. He killed Vali, the king of the monkeys, mercilessly by hiding behind a tree. In the events of the story, there's more impiety, for he transgressed the rules of the hunter. The hunter does not kill monkeys because their flesh is inedible and cannot even be sold to anyone. Hear about some more of his impiety. The woman Surpanaka, overcome with lust, desired Rama, but Rama disfigured her by cutting off her nose so that no one else would want to enjoy with her. That was simply because of his cruel nature. He did not do this cruel act because he was protecting his vow of celibacy while wearing matted locks and dressed for renunciate, because at times he was also living with Sita. Oh, why is my thing not opening? He was conquered by love for her, Srijanaha. Similarly, he appeared as Vamana, as a Brahmana. He rejected the qualities of the Brahmana, such as peacefulness and straightforwardness, and after enjoying the offerings made by the pious King Bali, threw him from his rulership of the three worlds into a hole in the earth. Alternative reading is Aveshat, Dwangsvashat, instead of Pishpat. In that case, the meaning is, he, like a crow, bound him up by trickery, just as a crow, after devouring offerings meant for worship, calls other crows and surrounds a woman. Vamana called his own people who surrounded Bali and tormented him. Enough with friendship with that black-complexioned man. Not one of many types of friendship of us gold-complexioned women with that black-complexioned man has proved auspicious. Now she's saying this black-complexioned man, too much with him. And because he has impure heart, Asita, one should be wary of him. What use have we with such a person? The bees seem to say, do these who go around criticizing others constantly have pure hearts? And he'd be saying, how could you be pure? You're just criticizing Krishna. Radha said, talking about his activities in past lives is hard to give up, though it gives us sorrow. Though we should not be discussing about him, we cannot give up discussing whether we criticize him or not. Another meaning, though we have given him up, we cannot start talking about him. As the subject is not mentioned in this phrase, Dushjastat Kartayaha infers that even for the best of Munis, it is difficult to give up speaking about Krishna. Killing Vali indicates his ruthless nature. Being controlled by women indicates his lust. Accepting offerings indicates fraud. And friendship with the black fellow indicates fear, malice, and unsuitableness of attachment. This is an example of statement. This is an example of Avaljalpa. So we're having Avaljalpa now. Statements which show that attachment to him is unadvisable because of his hard nature, his lust and cheating behavior, along with his expressions of malice and fear, is called Avajalpa. So this is Avajalpa. So there's a beautiful one by Jiva Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, but we are running out of time, and I was going to just read them through, but then I also wanted to explain about the pastimes that were mentioned. I'm just going to read a little bit from here. This is from Sanatana Goswami. He's talking about the demon Astarista then came to the coward village. Appearing in the form of a bull with a large hump, he made the earth tremble as he tore it apart with his hooves. Using the bull's horn like a hunter, not following Dharma, he killed the huge bull. Being lusty, he desired to form woman Kubja. He devoured the offerings given by the cowards and rejected the worship of Indra. then why do you speak about him? He's a goal of speech in Braj. Being absorbed in speaking of his activities in Braj, we must speak of him. It is not by our will, and we cannot leave Braj. What can we do? Or another meaning is as follows. One should not find fault in others. One should not speak about him, since it is forbidden. But it is not possible to give up speaking about his bad qualities because my anger is aroused by his most unjust actions. Discussing his faults is hard to give up. So Radharani is having these conversations with the bee, and this is revealed to the acharyas through the commentaries. It's being revealed to us. So she's saying, I know we shouldn't criticize anyone, but we are forced to criticize Krishna because in Braj, we can't stop talking about Krishna. So we're not meant to criticize Krishna, but we're meant to glorify him and glorify Srimati Radharani. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Tamaham Bhajami. Namaham Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Mudale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Tamanichi Namane Saraswati Devi Murmani Puja Nayeli Visesha Shunyavani Ashachare Zatarane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaurabhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaurabhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaurabhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Ramanityananda Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Jai Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Goloka, Rana, Goloka, Radha. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jai Om Vishnupad, Hanamahamsa Parad. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Friends, say, oh, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuram Ki Jai Srimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai all glories all glories to Sri Guru Govinda Prabhupada Ki Jai. Smaranena Kala Etadrishina Bhakti-Bhava-Bhavamami Durdayami Raga Trinada Pisanichena Rodivasishina Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases